Neo, before your awakening, there is an entity that controls the gate of truth. It does not move when you move. It moves when you hesitate. It needs no body. It needs no face. It knows you better than you imagine. It approaches without touching and speaks without sound. The entity does not threaten. It advises. It is safer to keep sleeping, it says. It has existed since before the simulation, since before the choice. Its name is ancient. Fear. Neo, fear is not a flaw in the system. It is a function. Before, it served the body. A brief alert, an ancient reflex. Something moved in the darkness. The body reacted. The threat passed. Life continued. That fear had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It came, fulfilled its role, and withdrew. The fear that inhabits you now does not end. It was reprogrammed. The system discovered it did not need bars, chains, or constant surveillance. It only needed to install a silent process inside the mind. A fear that anticipates. A fear that imagines. A fear that watches you before you even act. If there are no visible bars, who do you believe is imprisoned? This fear does not protect, it manages. Since when did surviving become synonymous with not living? It turns possibilities into threats, choices into absolute risks, movement into potential error. It runs in the background, consuming attention, draining energy, suggesting retreat before any real step is taken. You call this caution. The system calls it success. If it were truly prudence, why does it always taste like frustration? Because an individual who constantly fears does not need to be restrained. They restrain themselves. They calculate too much, act less, become predictable. How many of your choices were made out of precaution rather than truth? Modern fear does not point to real dangers. It creates continuous mental simulations, scenarios of loss that never happened, rejections that were never spoken, failures that never existed. If the danger exists only in your mind, why does the body keep obeying? Agents no longer need to wear suits. They learn to use your own inner voice. Every time you think, this isn't the moment, it's too risky, better not touch it, one of them has just spoken through you. What if the voice that restrains you was never yours? The prison is not around you. It is embedded. You begin to police your own thoughts. You censor impulses, neutralize desires, avoid dangerous questions, not because someone forbade them, but because fear has already taught you the cost of stepping out of line. Since when did thinking freely become dangerous? Unnecessary fear is the most efficient of all. It requires no justification. It simply says, be careful, and you obey. Not out of cowardice, but conditioning. The system exploits this socially. It spreads diffuse alerts, creates abstract threats, feeds collective phobias. The more undefined the danger, the more constant the fear. The more constant the fear, the less movement. Rational fear appears, fulfills its function, and withdraws. It is specific, proportional, silent. Fabricated fear remains, grows, infiltrates. It does not want to save your life. It wants to prevent you from using it. And you collaborate. How many times did you call maturity what was only fear of losing approval? Every time you avoid a decision to escape discomfort, you reinforce the code. Every time you trade truth for acceptance, you strengthen the simulation. Fear promises safety, but delivers limitation. It promises control, but steals presence. It does not prepare you for death. It prepares you for an anesthetized life. What is more frightening? Dying, or never having lived with clarity? The paradox is simple. By trying to escape finitude, you stop living. By trying to avoid every possible loss, you accept loss now. Fear claims it wants to keep you alive, but demands that you remain still. This is the true function of fear in the Matrix. It is not to stop you from waking up. It is to make you believe it is not worth it. Awakening does not mean eliminating fear. That would be naive. The system will always find ways to generate noise. Awakening means recognizing when fear ceases to be a signal and becomes a jailer. If it were not dangerous, why would fear scream so loudly? When you perceive this, something breaks. Fear still speaks, but it no longer commands. It still pulses, but you no longer kneel. It returns to what it always was, an occasional warning, not a commander. And then you act. Even while trembling, you choose without guarantees. You speak despite the risk. You move without a complete map. Each of these gestures introduces instability into the system. Each authentic decision is a miscalculation in the simulation. The agents hate this, because an individual who accepts uncertainty cannot be fully predicted. An individual who faces fear without obeying cannot be easily controlled. Since when did being unpredictable become a defect? The simulation depends on you believing that the risk lies in leaving. What if the real risk was always obedience? The door is here, at the exact point where you realize that much of what limited you was never real. The agents observe, the system calculates, fear insists, and still you can cross, even trembling, even being watched, even without guarantees. This is the flaw the system cannot correct. You cross.